The first segment of the Hot 7 Nightly News is brought to you by Flow.
Tonight, staff at the Immigration Department are up in arms again. Opposition leader Alan Chesney weighs in on a proposal to review the list of price-controlled items. And the local economy is on an upswing, according to Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Daniela Edwin.
Good evening. It is Thursday, December 15th, 2022. I am Daniela Edwin. Welcome to the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. We are on Flow Channel 117, Kiss FM, the Caribbean Hot FM mobile app, and the Caribbean Hot 7 TV Facebook page. Not forgetting those of you using the Hot 7 plug and play antenna, thank you for joining us. Staff at the Immigration Office are up in arms again over what is believed to be a delay in finding suitable working conditions for staff. The situation appears to have been abated when some of the department's operations were moved to a high street location. But news has surfaced that the new arrangements continue to be inadequate. Staff appear to have stayed off the job in what appears to be a sick-out. It is not yet clear whether the apparent industrial action will be prolonged. In other news, former Prime Minister and leader of the opposition Alan Chesney has weighed in on the announcement that the basket of price-controlled goods could be reviewed. Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre had hinted that with government's approval of a price hike on bread, the cost of other items could likely follow. Eldris Charles tells us more.
Bread, sugar, salt and flour are some of the commodities that form the current basket of goods in St. Lucia. These products are zero VAT items that are normally price controlled because of their classification as essential to every household. Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre has recently announced an increase in the price of bread and flour to take effect from January 1st, 2023 due to the continued fallout from the COVID-19 pandemic and rising global costs caused by the war in Ukraine and the supply chain issues that have ensued. With that action has come growing concerns as to whether or not other items in the basket that are facing the same global issues will incur similar cost increases and what that will mean for St. Lucia's already hobbled economy. The proposed review of the basket will see some items being removed and some others included. Internet service is being named as one of the items set to be included in the basket. Former Prime Minister and leader of the opposition Alan Chesney warns that allowing the price of goods in the basket to increase has far worse implications for St. Lucia's economy than people realize. He made reference to an earlier letter that he had penned to the Prime Minister in February of this year, warning of the impact of supply chain issues and asking that import duties be reduced to mitigate the rise in cost. That letter, too, was rejected by Prime Minister Pierre.
Allowing bus fares to go up? Do we expect that when the price of fuel goes down that those bus fares are going to come down? You have now allowed bread prices to go up. When the price of flour or the price of sugar comes back down, do we expect the price of bread to go back down? We're hearing that pork prices are going up. Okay? So all around the country, you're seeing now that basic commodity goods, the prices are having to go up because the government did not soften the blow when they first came in. So the government did not reduce the duties. And what they did is they allowed inflation to be multiplied on top of your duties. And they became now institutionalized into your economy. So we're going to see that the daily cost of living is going to go up. And the reality is that the price of wages are going to have to go up.
With an increase in the price of basic commodities, salaries, and other essential services, Mr. Chesney explains that the cost of living and the cost of doing business in St. Lucia will also increase dramatically. He warns that our export-led economy will suffer tremendously in that kind of economic climate.
We are an export-led economy. Okay? If you take tourism, you take manufacturing, you take agro-processing, you take services, it's literally almost 90% of your economy, of your growth of your economy, is going to come from those sectors. And what you've done now is you've allowed now the cost of inputs and operating cost of those industries to go up, which is going to make them less competitive on a global basis, which means the opportunity for them to grow and to provide the growth that we have has now become even harder than it was before. And simply changing around the basket of goods is not going to solve that problem.
Mr. Shastney also reacted to the proposed inclusion of internet service to the basket of goods. He says that although internet service has become essential to doing business globally, he believes that having price-controlled internet access might mean poorer internet quality. He proposes that a better internet delivery system might be the way to go. In reaction to the Prime Minister's statement that the increase in the price of bread will result in increased sales of that product, Mr. Shastney had this to say.
For him to try to justify what has happened to the price of bread in that way is pathetic and really questions how genuine he is and his party is about the circumstances of the more underprivileged persons in our society. You know, bread is a basic food commodity. And you would have thought alarm bells would have gone up when the price of bread went up, and that he would have done everything possible to prevent that from happening. I mean, isn't it part of their motto of the Labour Party? If I'm not mistaken, it's bread, freedom, and justice.
Mr. Shastney says that our economy is in worse shape than we think it is. Reporting for the Hot 7 TV News, I am Eldridge Charles.
Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre on Monday announced that based on the amount of revenue collected by the government during the month of November, he is very optimistic that the economy is on the upswing. He attributes the upward trend to increased economic activity and states that preliminary projections point to growth in the economy.
The government has recorded its highest earnings so far for the year 2022 during the month of November. Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre has expressed optimism about the growth trend and is hopeful about the future. St. Lucia's economy has been driven mainly by tourism since the decline of the banana industry, when the economic focus shifted from banana exports to tourism. With the lifting of imposed travel restrictions due to COVID-19, the local sector has been on the rebound. Since October 12, 2022, tourism officials have disclosed that the island has seen a steady stream of cruise ships visiting its shores. Arrivals went from a few days a week at the start of the winter season and have since increased to 3 or more ships per day during the month of December. That trend is set to continue up until the end of the season in March. For his part, the Prime Minister cited the implementation of several stimulator initiatives for businesses and individuals as another factor which contributed to economic growth.
There are very signs of turnaround in the economy. You can see more activity. The cruise industry, the cruise season has begun. All the projections show we're going to have a bumper season for winter.
Yet, despite the Prime Minister's optimism for winter cruise season, key tourism stakeholders are not feeling the buzz. One such person is Peter Ras Ipa Isaac, president of the St. Lucia Dry Goods Vendors Association, who has called projections for the season nothing but hype. Another such person is Vice President of the Holiday Taxi Association, Constantius François, who said that business remains very slow, although he hopes that it will increase before Christmas.
I mean, I'm happy the drivers are getting some business from the cruise sector, but it is not like it used to be. It have not gotten to that point yet. We are hoping that it will. It have not gotten to the point where, we reap maximum benefits from the cruise sector. But then I am happy that as little as it is, that our taxi operators are earning something at the moment.
Prime Minister Pierre warns that we are not yet out of the woods. He states that there are still issues beyond his control that might spell problems for St. Lucia economically.
But there are some downside risks. And we have to be careful, but because there are many circumstances we have no control over. Absolutely no control over. We don't know what will happen with the war in Ukraine. We don't know what will happen with climate change. So there are many circumstances we have no control over.
Reporting for the Hot 7 TV News, I am Eldridge Charles.
Still in the first segment of the broadcast, The POV. The POV provides you, our valued viewers and listeners, an opportunity to sound off on trending issues in the news only from your point of view.
Do you feel safe after all the weekend shootings?
I can't say that I feel safe per se. I have to be a little more aware of my surroundings than normally.
I wouldn't say that I don't feel safe, but I do feel concerned.
Shootings are escalating. It's time that people give their life to God. It's time we become more of a Christian nation and put God in our life first.
It will take a whole collective effort from everybody for us to try and address the crime situation. But at the rate of going there, I don't see an answer right now at all.
You're watching the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Still to come, the Ministry of Health urges for standard adherence among meat producers, and local vendors are on pause until the rollout of port redevelopment plans in Castries. Stay tuned for the details to these and other stories when we come back.
The first segment of the Hot 7 Nightly News was brought to you by Flow.